Hollywood has spent hundreds of billions of dollars trying to build the perfect blockbuster. Sometimes it works. A movie walks into theaters, earns $1 billion, and becomes a legend. And sometimes, everything falls apart. These movies had the biggest budgets, the biggest stars, the biggest marketing campaigns money could buy. And instead of becoming hits, they became some of the most catastrophic financial disasters in Hollywood history. From Disney losing hundreds of millions, to superhero franchises imploding overnight, to a legendary director betting his entire fortune on one film, these are the biggest box office flops from 2000 to 2025. But before we dive in, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and smash the like. This kind of research takes real time, and your support keeps the channel alive. Now, let's get into it.
20. Gemini Man.
All the people in the world to come after me. Why would he send you?
Budget, $138 million. Break even, around $300 million. Actual box office, $173 million. Will Smith versus a younger, digital version of Will Smith. On paper, fascinating concept. In reality, audiences weren't interested. The cutting-edge visual effects couldn't save a story that failed to connect, and the studio walked away with a quiet but painful loss.
5 years ago, they made you from me.
19. King Arthur, Legend of the Sword, 2017.
Raise that sword! Show the people the power of Excalibur!
Budget, $175 million. Break even, around $400 million. Actual box office, $148 million. Warner Brothers didn't just want a King Arthur movie. They wanted a cinematic universe, 6 films, a franchise, a brand. Instead, audiences rejected the first film so completely, the entire universe was canceled before the second movie was even greenlit. 18. 47 Ronin. Budget, $175 million. Break even, around $400 million. Actual box office, $151 million. Universal expected an exotic fantasy franchise built around Keanu Reeves. What they got was silence. The film bombed domestically, underperformed globally, and the franchise idea was quietly buried. 17. Cats, 2019. Budget about $100 million, break even over $200 million, actual box office $75 million. The internet started mocking this movie before it even released. The nightmare visuals, the unsettling CGI fur, the deeply confused marketing. And when audiences finally saw it in theaters, things only got worse. Critics called it one of the most bizarre studio films ever made. The studio quietly processed the loss and moved on. 16. Dark Phoenix, 2019. Budget, $200 million. Break even, around $450 million. Actual box office, $252 million. This was supposed to be the emotional conclusion to the X-Men saga. Instead, it became one of the weakest franchise endings ever committed to film. Audiences had already lost faith in the series. Dark Phoenix confirmed their instincts.
She's still our friend. She's not Jean anymore.
15. Battlefield Earth, 2000. Budget, around $75 million. Break even, about $150 million. Actual box office, around $30 million. Audiences rejected almost everything about this movie. The acting, the visuals, the logic, the story. Even 25 years later, people still regularly listed among the worst films ever produced. A genuine legend, for all the wrong reasons. 14. Mars Needs Moms, 2011.
Mars needs moms, so the aliens are stealing them from Earth to raise their own kids.
Budget around $150 million. Break even over $300 million. Actual box office just $39 million. The animation style unsettled audiences immediately. Kids avoided it, parents ignored it.
Who knew mothering was so hard?
13. Mortal Engines, 2018.
I've been looking for you for a long time. Your mother, she said she had found something dangerous.
Budget, nearly $200 million. Break even, over $450 million. Actual box office, around $83 million. Massive moving cities, enormous visual effects, franchise ambitions stretching years into the future. And none of it mattered. The film collapsed so completely at the box office that every sequel plan was canceled immediately. 12. Moonfall.
What's the plan?
Save the moon, save Earth.
Budget around $140 million. Break even over $300 million. Actual box office $67 million worldwide. Roland Emmerich made his career destroying the world on screen. Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, 2012. But Moonfall arrived in a different era. Audiences had grown tired of the disaster movie formula. And despite a high-concept premise, the moon crashing toward Earth, nobody showed up to watch it fall. The film lost approximately $100 million, and Emmerich's formula finally broke.
The moon is out of orbit.
Shazam! Fury of the Gods, 2023.
Introducing the star of our show. His name is Shazam!
Budget, around $125 million. Break even, around $280 million. Actual box office, $133 million worldwide. The first Shazam was a genuine surprise. Charming, funny, profitable. The sequel arrived into a DC universe that was already collapsing. James Gunn had announced a full reboot. The old DC continuity was being canceled. And audiences, sensing the franchise had no future, didn't bother. The film underperformed so badly, it essentially helped accelerate the entire DC reset.
10. Amsterdam, 2022.
So, two soldiers and a nurse found ourselves in
Amsterdam. Budget, around $33 million. Break even, around $70 million. Actual box office, just $6.4 million. This was a star-studded period mystery with Christian Bale, Margot Robbie, and John David Washington. A relatively modest budget by Hollywood standards, and somehow it became one of the worst theatrical performances of 2022. The studio reportedly called it one of the biggest losses of the year relative to its scale. Sometimes it's not about how much money you spend.
Babylon.
Here's the twist.
Budget, around $80 million. Break even, around $175 million. Actual box office, $15 million worldwide. $15 million. Director Damien Chazelle had just won an Oscar for La La Land. Brad Pitt and Margot Robbie were at the top of their careers. Paramount had enormous confidence in the film, and audiences barely showed up. The film was bold, chaotic, divisive, and commercially catastrophic. Paramount quietly wrote off the losses, one of the most stunning misfires from an Oscar-winning director in modern Hollywood history. 8. Borderlands. Budget, around $115 million. Break even, over $250 million. Actual box office, approximately $33 million worldwide. The video game adaptation curse struck again. Cate Blanchett, Kevin Hart, Jack Black as a robot, a massive cast, a beloved gaming franchise, years of production troubled by COVID delays. And when the film finally arrived, critics destroyed it. Audiences ignored it. It became one of the biggest video game adaptation disasters since the genre began. 7. Argyle, 2024.
I'm in some really big trouble, Mom.
Oh, so now you're experimenting with drugs.
Budget? Around $200 million. Break even? Over $450 million. Actual box office? Around $96 million worldwide. Apple TV Plus invested enormous money trying to crack the theatrical market. A spy thriller, a star-studded cast, director Matthew Vaughn, the man behind Kingsman. On paper, it should have worked. In reality, audiences found the film bloated and confused. The marketing hype didn't translate into ticket sales, and Apple absorbed one of the most expensive original film losses of 2024. Madam Web.
Seen that man before. So who is he? Ezekiel Sims. He was in the Amazon with my mom when she was researching spiders right before she died.
Budget around $80 million. Break even around $180 million. Actual box office approximately $43 million worldwide. Sony's Spider-Man universe had already stumbled badly, but Madam Web became something else entirely. Critics called it one of the worst superhero movies ever made. Audiences stayed home in enormous numbers. The film opened to mocking reviews, viral moments of poor dialogue, and an opening weekend that signaled the effective end of Sony's spin-off ambitions. Sony had been trying to build their own Marvel universe for years. Madam Web essentially buried those plans. 5. Horizon and American Saga 2024. Budget: around $100 million. Break even: over $220 million. Actual box office: approximately $37 million worldwide. Kevin Costner had not directed a film in 16 years. He returned with a massive, epic Western saga, a project he had spent decades developing. He invested significant portions of his own money, and the film barely registered at the box office. Costner had planned a multi-film saga, stretching years into the future. Part 2 was quietly shelved, and one of Hollywood's most personal passion projects became one of 2024's most painful financial failures. Poor Megalopolis, 2024.
Don't let the now destroy the forever.
Budget: approximately $120 million. Break even: over $250 million. Actual box office: around $11 million worldwide. $11 million. Francis Ford Coppola directed The Godfather. He directed Apocalypse Now. He's one of the most celebrated filmmakers in Hollywood history. And he spent 40 years dreaming about Megalopolis. He sold vineyards. He liquidated assets. He self-financed the entire film, over $100 million of his own money. And when it finally reached theaters, audiences were deeply confused. Critics were polarized. The box office was devastating. One of the most personal artistic gambles in modern cinema history, and one of the most financially catastrophic outcomes of 2024. 3. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
You stole it.
And you stole it. And then I stole it. It's called capitalism.
Budget: nearly $300 million. Break even: over $650 million. Actual box office: around $384 million. Disney believed nostalgia was an unlimited resource. It isn't. Despite Harrison Ford reprising one of cinema's most beloved roles, despite decades of goodwill and brand recognition, audiences simply weren't interested enough to make the film profitable. The studio reportedly absorbed a loss measured in hundreds of millions of dollars, and Harrison Ford quietly confirmed his retirement from the character. John Carter, 2012.
Very night. We will end it.
Budget: around $250 million. Break even: over $600 million. Actual box office: about $284 million. Disney genuinely believed John Carter could become the next Star Wars, a new mythology, a new franchise, a new universe. Instead, confused marketing, a weak title change, and complete audience bafflement killed the film instantly. Disney reportedly lost over $200 million in a single weekend. The executive who greenlit the film left the studio, but Disney was only getting started. Joker, Folie à Deux, 2024. Budget, around $200 million. Break-even, around $450 million. Actual box office, approximately $58 million worldwide. The original Joker earned over $1 billion. It was made for $55 million. It won Academy Awards. It became a global cultural phenomenon. Expectations for the sequel were enormous. Then, audiences discovered the sequel was a dark, experimental musical. The trailer divided fans instantly. Early screenings produced shocked reactions. Word of mouth collapsed. The film opened to one of the worst second weekend drops in recent blockbuster history. Warner Bros. Lost hundreds of millions of dollars, and a sequel to one of the most profitable superhero films ever made became one of the most stunning financial disasters of the decade. Hollywood keeps spending more money, making bigger movies, hiring the biggest stars, building the most spectacular visual effects money can produce. But these disasters reveal something the industry rarely admits. A massive budget doesn't guarantee an audience. A famous director doesn't guarantee success. And a beloved franchise doesn't guarantee a sequel will survive. Because sometimes, the bigger the movie, the harder it falls. And somewhere right now, Hollywood is greenlighting another $200 million film that might end up on a list exactly like this one. If this video gave you something to think about, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe for more. We'll see you in the next one.